I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, January the 4th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Tell you what, Joplin has been friends of mine for a long time. The whole gang there, Jackie Moore, his two sons Bailey and Skylar Moore, which are doing a lot of the legwork now, but tell you what, they do a bang-up job. The most progressive cattle auction market in the country as far as I'm concerned, with commingling, video, value-added specials all the time. They're doing just about everything. They've got a verification process there. Mark Harmon, very good friend of mine, he puts out the Cattleman's News magazine every month and does a great job there. He kind of does their PR stuff, and I visit with him quite a bit on getting them promoted for Joplin. Joplin had a huge year. That they'd be in the top 5 as far as stockyards, and I measure them by receipts, not by total land mass or how many pens they've got. But 2020, Joplin had 418,000 head of cattle marketed. Now just think about that for a minute. I told you guys on a recent visit that a sale barn that had 50,000 head is a pretty good sale barn. I mean, that's a viable market right there. We've got some smaller markets that don't have sales every week that still do pretty good at under 50,000, but 50,000 is a good sized sale barn. 100,000 head would be a regional type market, one of your biggest sale barns. You know, for a big region, you know. Last time I checked, Texas had one sale barn in the whole state that had over 100,000 head of cattle. And you get up in the Midwest, places like Missouri, they'll have several. Get into big auction states like South Dakota and Nebraska, where they don't sell most of the cattle direct. They still go through the sale barns because they bring such a premium there. They'll have several sale barns that sell over 100,000 head, but 100,000 head is a big sale barn, and Joplin sells 418,000 in a year's time. A percentage of those would have been video cattle, but through the ring there, Joplin, 359,000 head. So huge market there. They sell a lot of cattle there, market a lot of them. Going to have a big sale here on this Monday, 10,000 head plus here for the first sale of the new year. They were only shut down for one regular feeder cattle auction, but still they're going to be piled up a little bit because they got so many cattle coming in there. But over 10,000 head here on this Monday the 4th, and then coming right back with a value-added special with program cattle. All your cattle will be long-time weaned. There'll be more bigger bunches. More of them will be black-hided on Thursday, the 7th. They're going to have around 7,000 head for the value-added special. You can view and bid both those sales on dvauction.com, and I tell you what, the deals will be right there, Joplin Regional Stockyards. We got a fresh start here for 2021. Most of us, you know, are sure sick of 2020. We're glad to see it go. We've still got a lot of the issues that were facing us in 2020, but you know, we lost so many people in 2020. A lot of our country icons, you know, passed away in 2020. A lot of you guys and me too lost friends during 2020. Not that we don't lose them in a typical year, but it just seemed worse during 2020, and we're sure glad to move on from there. I tell you guys, a lot of us feel like we had an election stole from us. Well, we really got lazy there. We knew we had Trump fighting for us, conservatives. We kind of, you know, rested on our laurels there. We enjoyed watching him fight for us and doing America First things, and really pushing the ideals that we hold dear at our heart. You know, pro-life, and you know, the things that go along with that. And we kind of just got lazy a little bit. But to tell you the truth, I'm a little disappointed in President Trump for the first time. And I think if you guys think about it too, you will be too, because President Trump kind of let us down on this election here. He knew there was going to be crooked shit going on, and he knew it. He saw it coming and didn't do anything about it. He thought that he would be able to prove it after the fact and come back in there and get things right. It's too late then. You know, if he knew crooked shit was going to be going on during the election, doesn't he know how to do crooked shit? You would think in all the years that he was doing business in those big cities and stuff, he would have to figure out how you get some of that done. Yet he didn't get it done. He let them steal the election from him, and now coming back in and he's got proof, but nobody cares anymore. Because a lot of the people that he thought were on his side, they're already jockeying for position with a new administration, and they've gone on and left him. So, you know, that's disappointing that happened. But tell you what, guys, we're just going to have to accept it. We can't riot in the streets. We don't have time for that. We have to work. We have to livings we got to make. You know, those guys. It's easy for them to riot in the streets and picket and protest and all that stuff because they don't have to work the next morning. So we're just going to go on. We're not going to cause a big fuss. We're not going to have violence or anything like that. But as we go on, guys, for the next several years, and especially going through 2021. And I'm preaching to the choir, I know, but we have to continue to resist socialism and support freedom. And the ways that you do that, you support leaders and you get behind leaders that support freedom, and you push that. You continue to support businesses, this stupid mask mandate. And I know you guys a lot of you are like I am. Even if you've had COVID in your family, even if you've lost loved ones to COVID, you're still sick of the mask because you're smart enough to know that they don't work. Where's the worst COVID right now? Southern California. Where's the biggest shutdowns and the biggest mask mandates been? Southern California. Where have we been wide open? South Dakota, Florida, Texas, places like that. It's all getting better there. So that just goes to show you that stuff doesn't work. It's just your power-hungry Democratic leaders that just love to see what they can make you do. I've told you before, it's like Simon Says, can you pat your head and rub your belly? Okay, you did that. Now what can I make you do? But we got to support businesses that don't force that kind of stuff on us. We've got to fight for our rights here, guys, as we go forward in 2021. And but have a positive outlook. It looks like our markets are going to be good. I think we're going to see a big surge here in some of our cattle markets through the holidays, through Christmas and New Year's week. Man, we've seen a big push in our fat cattle prices. Live negotiated sales of fed cattle, we've gained big time. We've gained like $8 to $9 on our live cattle market through the holidays, and that was on light receipts of movement, negotiated cash trade. But still, both Christmas and New Year's week were bigger negotiated sales weeks than we had the 2 weeks prior to that. I hear some guys down in the Southern Plains, they're looking at different ways to improve negotiated trade, and I want to give those guys credit because they are pushing to try to pool more cattle to kind of start the trade week out there, and I hope they continue to do that, working with consolidated beef producers to do that. And I think all that, any kind of way that you can maneuver to try to bring about more transparent negotiated trade in our cattle markets, that's a plus way to do it. We're going to move forward here. We've still got a big push for mandated minimum negotiated cash trade this year. We need to get that done this year, guys. In that last COVID stimulus bill, that's one thing that was in there, is that we're gonna push forward with mandatory price reporting, but only for 1 year. Not for the 5 years that we normally do it. Why are we doing it for 1 year? To get an opportunity at the end of the year to put some things in with minimum mandated negotiated cash trade. We have to get that done this year. We've gotten rid of Pat Roberts, your Senate Ag Committee chairman. He's went off into sunset and going to get in his rocking chair. Not before he got a top hand award from NCBA for stonewalling and resisting any kind of a negotiated minimum cash trade that your packers didn't want, and many of your corporate cattle feeding operations didn't want, that would likely and will save the industry and save your smaller producers. So we're going to get somebody new in there. Maybe we get an opportunity to get something pushed through there. I tell you what, I mean, we've got to really get in there and support our leaders at every level, even within our grassroots local cattle associations that are getting behind the right things. And so maybe we need to branch out a little more and get a little more outspoken on some things as we go into 2021. But let's talk about your futures markets for the last week of the dreaded 2020. But your December live cattle futures, Monday was up 90, Tuesday down a buck, even though we started seeing some trade on Wednesday, and then it didn't really come back up much, just up 7 cents, even though it was higher. Thursday was up 82 cents. Friday was New Year's Day. But December live cattle futures ended the year, ended the contract 112.95. That was up 80 cents for the week, and at about a buck premium to what your true cash market was. But that's close enough to kind of tie it together there at the end of the contract. January feeder cattle, Monday was up 7, Tuesday was down a buck 37, Wednesday was down a buck 10, even though we saw higher fat cattle trade, and then Thursday was up 42 cents to kind of some of those guys that were trading in there took a little bit of a profit there for the week. Friday was January 1st, but January feeder cattle ended the week at 138.95, down $1.97 for the week. And you think, well, fat cattle were higher. Usually that pulls your feeder cattle up. Tell you what, these grains are getting away from us, guys. March corn ended the year at 484. A lot of us have been saying that's going to have a 5 front figure pretty quick, and it looks like that's going to be a reality. That's a whole different thing than we've been looking at for the last several years, feeding cattle. And you know my old friend Bill Simmons, a big order buyer, he used to tell us when we were sitting around St. Joe, he said, easy way to figure your cost of gains is just double that corn figure. So if you're at 484, that's getting close to $5. That's a dollar a pound cost of gain. You know, and a lot of guys are thinking they're working with 65, 70, 75 cent cost of gains. No. How about $1 a pound cost of gain? That changes everything, guys. Your beans, January beans, we said they were going to get in the teens. They did late in the week. 13, 15 and a quarter on your January beans. Higher grains, I tell you what, it's going to be a whole new deal. Let's look at some of your out front markets. Your live cattle for February, 115.02. A lot of people are disappointed in that because it doesn't feel like it gives us much room to grow here early in the year, because we've already got fat cattle at 112 and our February is only sitting at 115. We need a little more push in that. But April at 119 and a quarter, and I've told you guys that should be at $1.20. A lot of our technical analysts are saying that will be trending higher and is going to surpass 120 here early in the trading this year. And if that does, I think that's going to be a big boost for all of our cattle markets, both futures and cash markets. Now, in your feeder cattle going out front, March feeder cattle 140.22. That was down $2.10. And our futures keep saying that we should have an average of our 800-pound steers bringing over $1.40, but it's hard to keep them there. But I would think we'll get them there early this year. Your order buyers haven't gotten much commission the last couple of weeks. Your feedlots haven't had a lot of new cattle coming in the last couple of weeks. And there's going to be a big surge here early in the year here, these first week or two of big sales for guys to get in and buy some cattle, and I think it could be pretty positive. Your fat cattle market last week through Wednesday, they had sold 30,600 head in your 5-area feeding region. So that's a pretty good movement through Wednesday, even though it's a holiday week with the holiday late in the week. But we were seeing a lot of 111, a few deals of 112 on Wednesday, but they were selling cattle at 111 live in the Midwest, the Northern Plains, and a few deals in the Southern Plains. But from what I heard, it was mostly junk that they were selling in the Southern Plains. You know, talked to a friend of mine. He said, I sold some pure D junk for 111 on Wednesday. You know, that was a buck back from what your top of your market was, but those cattle would have went on feed probably $30 a hundred cheaper than your average set of cattle going on feed. That's where you make money. I mean, I know you guys like genetics and you like quality, but you can buy cattle significantly under the market and then market them at the top of the market or very near it. You're going to make some money there. And I've told you guys before, most of the guys that feed cattle that consistently make money handle junk, but you got to keep them alive. That's a different deal. You got to be able to keep them alive, and the ones that can do that and get them put together and have enough connections to get them sold, they're the guys that make money. You guys that are blowing your brains out, I know those cattle perform better, and I know they'll sell at the top of the market when they're fat, but if they start out, you know, 20 bucks a hundred higher than everybody else's cattle, it's going to be hard to make that up. But look at your fat cattle trade. Last week, your live sales ranged from 109 to 112. Up through the end of New Year's Eve there. But like I said, a lot of 111 and starting to be some 112 on Wednesday. Thursday it turned to all 112. So that's another $2 higher. Your market was really $3 higher Christmas week. Gained a lot of ground there, guys. You know, $4 to $5 higher on your live market. $8 to $9 higher dress, like I told you. I spoke that earlier, and you guys might have thought I was talking live, but I was talking dressed. $8 to $9 higher dressed market. 174 to mostly 176 on Thursday. You know, we were working with 172 Christmas week. That's $4. So gaining a lot of ground, guys. Look at your sales on Thursday. And we haven't seen the wrap up, we'll see here on Monday. But Iowa, 2,400 head on Thursday from 110 to 112, 176 dressed. Nebraska, 13,000, 110 to 112, 176 dressed. Kansas, 10,000 head on Thursday, all at 112. Texas, almost 6,000, all at 112. We're going to see a pretty decent movement in that 60 to 70,000 head range. So it'll be the second holiday week there back to back that we had a bigger movement than we did the previous 2 weeks of non-holidays there towards the end of 2021. Box beef cutout values, your weekly weighted average for your holiday week. Choice cuts 209.65. That was down 6 cents is also steady market on your weighted average for the week's total. Select on your holiday week of New Year's 196.91 for the weighted average. That was down $1.35, not too bad, but pretty good movement on your New Year's holiday week. Almost 600 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings at 589 loads. That was much better movement than we saw through Christmas week. And we saw these buyers of beef coming in and starting to fill their coffers up for the new year. And not resisting the price levels that they've kind of held their head up, even though they fell off there late in the year, but they kind of always do. But pretty good market and excellent demand for beef continues. Your slaughter, 451,000, that's 33,000 more than the Christmas week. It was really not comparable with the same week a year ago because they fell on different days of the week there. But what else is going on? I have to tell you guys, I continue to learn. I feel like I got a pretty well-rounded understanding of this cattle marketing. I've been all over the country and seen how they do it. I've worked in reported markets, you know, in the upper Midwest, back east, the southeast, and the southern plains all over. But I tell you what, I got an education late last week there, or middle of last week, whenever I reported a couple of commercial cow sale specials down in South Texas. I was in Brenham, Cattleman's Brenham Livestock Auction there in Brenham, Texas last Tuesday, and then in Pearsall, Texas. Both good sales there and good people everywhere. I tell you what, I enjoyed visiting with all those people there, but they had some commercial cow sales, replacement cow sales. They wanted them to be on DV auction. I was a little skeptical, I have to admit, because I thought, you know, how much are they going to sell online here? But I forgot how progressive a lot of those buyers are getting to be, and some of the COVID fears that were out there. But I tell you what, had lots and lots of bids on DV auction at both of those replacement cow sales. Sold a lot of cattle on DV auction there. And both of those sale barns, that's the first time they had ever had online bidding in their sale barn. So it wasn't something that people were used to, but they were marketing a lot of Bramer Cross cattle there. And, you know, a lot of you guys that watch this report, a lot of you guys in the Midwest, Northern Plains, and likely even me, got kind of a negative view of cattle that are carrying a lot of ear. There is big demand for replacement cattle that are carrying a lot of ear. You know, part of it's because people like the way they look. The other reason is they just perform so much better when it gets so hot and humid much of the year down in those South Texas areas of Louisiana, parts of Arkansas, and places like that where it's hot and humid. Those cattle continue to thrive whenever you know, the other cattle are under trees panting or standing in a pond or something. But I tell you what, there's big demand for true Brayford cattle, Bramer Hereford cattle there, Tiger Stripe type cattle. There's big demand for those. There's big demand for the really, you know, they don't have to be purebred, and most all these cattle were not registered, but they were pure gray humpy Bramers. And then you can do some cross breeding with those. Some people just like the true gray humpy Bramers there. But I saw first calf heifer pairs, Brayfords, sell last week, and those sales up to $3,400 for first calf heifer pairs. I'll be honest with you, the calves look like greyhound pups, but big demand for them, guys, and you can't scoff or discount the kind of money that they were bringing. And big demand both in the barn and online for those true Brayford cattle there. And then on the gray humpies, I saw young heavy bred cows, you know, gray humpy Bramer cows bringing up to $2,600 per head there. You guys can't sell your fanciest Angus cattle for that lots of places. I saw, you know, and I put a picture on social media of some of these young, lightweight, open, gray humpy Bramer heifers, replacement quality as far as in the Brahman breed there, weighing anywhere from your high 3s up into the low to mid 6s, bringing $1,250 to $1,400 per head, guys. Wow. I tell you what, my friend Rachel there with the V8 ranch, I understand why you're in this Bramer business now, because I mean the demand is really outstanding for them, and I'm just going to be frank with you. I got an education there and know a whole lot more about them, and tickled to see it there, guys. But let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction ended the year at 138.39. up $1.19 compared to the end of the previous week. We saw a few sales come in there between Christmas and New Year's. Callaway Livestock Auction had a sale there on that Monday. They were probably the biggest one. Then we started to see a few more sales coming later in the week, and there was good demand. Not a lot of strings of calves available, but there was quite a few guys that had some backgrounded yearling feeder cattle on offer, and they were sure a buck or two higher. And I expect most of your sales coming in starting out this week with the first sales of the new year. Your big sales like Oklahoma National Stockyards, Joplin, your other big Monday sales, they'll all have big sales, and I assume they'll sure be experiencing that gain and probably a little more here, buck or two higher there. But we saw a few of your markets have sales. I'm going to give you some of them, give you a kind of an idea of what we're looking for here for the new year. Market that we recently added to DV Auction Broadcasting is South Coffeyville, Oklahoma Stockyards there. They're under recent new management. They had a New Year's Day special there. Had a heck of a good sale there. 2,400 head. That market is not reported by Federal State Market News Service. So all these cattle here should be in your CME index, and they're not, but they are in the real-time index, and we do have this automated market report for you. Look here at South Coffeyville, a really good sale, and they had a lot of feeder steers there, including in your 7-weight, 614 head of them, average 735 on all your 7-weight steers with a weighted average price of 139.34. Pretty good. 1,250 head. This wasn't one string, this is all the cattle put together. 1,250 head of your 8-weight feeder steers there, averaged 847 at 135.39, including this group of 240 head, 875-pound steers all together from one home at 135.10. That's a pretty good market in a Southern Plains sale barn, not a premium type sale barn, just a good market sale barn there in South Coffeyville, Oklahoma. How about a similar market over further east at Fort Scott, Kansas? They had a sale on Saturday. I tell you what, that's the best Saturday market we've got there. Another market that should be in your CME index. It's not. It's in your real-time index, but look at these strings of steers that they had at Fort Scott on Saturday. Pretty good deal there. Look at your top one. That's the biggest quote we saw as far as head counts. 126 head, 877-pound steers. Bring $136 in Fort Scott on Saturday. And your top quote on feeder steers out of Fort Scott was 74 head, 823 head, 142.35. But there's a big push for reputation quality calves also. Your top quote that I saw anywhere late last week was out of Mitchell Livestock, Mitchell, South Dakota. They had a Saturday special there and had our Zach Tran top quote for the day, 79 head, 570-pound steer calves, 171.50. That's your feeder flash for Monday.